Hey, what up guys? I want to show you a quick video on how to change around your options for better gameplay. I'm going to go through a lot of this stuff really quick. I'm not going to go through everything. I'm just going to show you the kind of the more important stuff. So we're going to start from the top here. So highlight game objects. This one will highlight like every little tile, every little thing. Could be helpful for certain situations. I don't do it. Pathfinding, have that off, trust me. Always run. I have that on because, you know, if you're moving around with a close cursor, you'll always run. If you have that off, then if you have a close cursor, you'll walk. I don't like walking. I always like to run. Go fast, go fast. If you have always run on, and you have a stealther, like a thief or somebody with shadow aspect, it's nice to do that and less hidden, because you only remain stealth if you walk. So there's that. Auto open doors. I think Razor automatically does that, so even if you have this unchecked, it'll still open doors. But I just have it on just in case, because I don't want to be hung up on a door. So turn that on. And then auto open corpses. That's a good one. If something dies next to you, it'll auto open it. You could set the range. It just defaults to 2 tiles, so I keep it at that. I skip empty corpses because I don't need to open an empty corpse. So scrolling down here, this one's really important. I do show HP, and then I have it on line, and I do less than 100%. That way, as soon as my health, see it's 95, it's 100. As soon as it goes below that, I have this that pops up right there. So it really helps if you're being damaged. You know, you're out there fighting, you got a lot of stuff around you. Well, when this bar pops up, it's a quick indicator that you're being damaged. Then now that I'm at 100%, it goes away, and that applies to everybody, so it's really helpful. So scrolling down here, I have show incoming new mobiles. That way if a player comes into my screen, it'll say their name. It's really easy to detect reds that way. Same thing with new corpses. If I'm running through a dungeon and there's a bunch of gray corpses that I run into, it'll say that they're gray. Just an easy way to know that you can loot something. This one's for tamers, like when you can change your pet names. If you were to, let's do this. So if I have a pet here, so normally if you click right here, you have the ability to change the name, but I have lock, so I would have to hold Control and Alt. So if I hold Control and Alt and then click, now I could change the name. I like it on lock because sometimes if you're dragging and dropping these health bars, it changes it to like you want to type, and then if you're trying to do any hotkeys, your hotkeys might not work because it thinks you're trying to type right here. So I have that locked always. Let's install this bad boy. Alright, next thing is aura under feet. I do always. So if you see the aura under the feet, here, I'll come over here too. If you have it on none, it takes it off. It's really really helpful because when you see that, you could see essentially who's blue, or I know it's green, but it's in reference to blues and reds. You can see who's blue or friendly, and you can see who's red. So little red tiles. You can't really see Davy's character right here, but he has a red glow under him. So that's a really quick way to identify kind of who's bad and who's good. You could do custom. So for people in your party, you can make it purple or whatever. I just leave it at green. And then scrolling down to Gumps here, so all this hold alt stuff, it has to deal with when you have people linked together like this. If you kind of mess with these, if I click and drag this one, it moves the whole thing. You can kind of enable these to where if you hold alt, you can move one of them. If you have these two already bound, and so like this big group, stuff like that. So you can mess around with those. Show Gump for party invites. This one's really key too, because when somebody tries to add you to a party, normally it says down here, if so-and-so's adding you to a party, press do this to do accept. If you have this checked, there's a big box that pops up right in the middle of your screen that says accept or deny. So it's a really easy way to not have to type anything. You don't have to take your hand off the mouse. You can just click accept and keep moving. It's pretty helpful. Use custom health bars Gump. So if we take that off, that's what it looks like. Right? Everyone's familiar with the kind of the old school. I like it on because it changes it to these. Just kind of keeps everything a little tighter. It doesn't take up as much space on the screen. There's also this one here, the Opaque Background. So you could kind of see my character below these, but if you turn this on, I mean, it doesn't make a huge difference, but it's a little more see-through. I don't have it on. And then grid loot. This one's super important too. So when you have grid loot, normally you open a corpse and it's that like little coffin-looking thing. The grid loot is really helpful because it'll show up a huge menu. I almost want to go kill something really quick to show you. Yeah, why not? Let's do it. Okay. So this grid loot, it pops up this grid loot like this, and it opens these coffins, okay? So if I don't have grid loot on, and I try and open up these things, it just does the coffin. So the grid loot's really nice because if there's a bunch of loot on here, like you kill somebody or you kill kind of a tough monster, it'll pop up everything, and so you could quickly sift through. You can quickly sift through and pick out which items you want, rather than having to drag and drop like a bunch of crap out of the way to get to that one item. Really helpful. Really helpful. Let's see. The other things that I like is, I think by default these are both checked. I don't like objects alpha fading. That's like so like the text alpha fading is basically if somebody says something, that'll kind of slowly go away rather than just see, just like that, it slowly fades away. I like that on just to kind of keep the speech a little more like hanging around a little bit longer. The objects alpha delay I do not like, because if it starts to fade away, like it might kind of mess you up in trying to grab it. I always have it off. Anyways, target range indicator, that one's pretty nice. If you're going to do rope or if you're going to do teleport, it'll show you the tiles. And I think teleport, I think it's 9 or 10 tiles is as far as you can go. So it's really helpful if you're running away from PKs and you have teleport up. You know, you get down to, you know, whatever, 8 tiles, 9 tiles, and that's kind of your max. So, like, if you try to go 12 tiles, okay, maybe it's 12 tiles. But, you know, your 14 tile, it's not going to work, right? So you can kind of keep that range. You know, okay, I can teleport right there. So that's a pretty good one to have on. This one also, very important, enable drag drop. So if you have that off, and I'm clicking and pulling, nothing's popping up, enable drag drop, turn it back on, you could do that dealy right there, right? So that one's really cool because it's easy to grab everybody's health bars. And then if you want to do humanoids only, so as you can see, we got HelloFresh's animals here. So now if I just want HelloFresh, oh, maybe he's not there. So, okay, let's try this again. So if I drag all that, so it didn't grab his pets this time. So, you know, you can kind of change that as needed. I usually like to grab everything, obviously, because I have my pets and whatever. This is optional. I like having it on, so it shows all the trees. You could turn all the trees to stumps. It just makes it a little bit cleaner to run through stuff if you're running from PKs. Because, you know, if you have that on, it kind of hides what tile the stump is on. It's good to have those off. Same with the little vegetation. So is there any vegetation around? Yeah, you could kind of see like this little stuff that's nothing. It's not going to block you. So if you hide that, it just cleans up your path to run. So pretty important. The next thing, so we're going to go down to, what's the next thing? Oh, in video, there's also an option in Razor, but light level. So your light level, sometimes your guys' screen might be dark. You could have it always bright all the time, no matter what. So I usually like to have that checked. Again, there's an option in Razor to do that too. But that's what I like doing. Also, this one too is kind of, you know, if you hate seeing that death screen as soon as you die, where it kind of like fades black to really for a second, and then it kind of goes back to normal. You could turn that off. So as soon as you die, your screen doesn't kind of fade black, and then, you know, when you die, your whole screen's kind of black and white. If I have that checked, so it's going to be that normal, everything is black and white. If you take this off, everything will still be in color, and you'll still be dead, you know, obviously, but it just kind of keeps everything in color, kind of streamlines the game a little better. You don't sit here getting pissed off because your whole screen's gray and you know you just died. Shadows, I don't know. Shadows, it turns on. I just like having it off, just kind of a cleaner screen. Next things, you can make in-game macros here. I don't really use this. I use Razor most of the time, but there's a couple that you can make. Davy's got a couple for like some PvP stuff, and targeting kind of helps to make it in here. Tooltips, nothing. Fonts, nothing. Speech, this is total preference, but so this is one that I have active. So if you pay attention to my speech bar right here, right, I just start typing. Well, if you turn this on, it goes away. So I have to hit enter before I start saying anything. And the reason why I do that is because a lot of people have hotkeys set to, a lot of people have hotkeys set to 1 or 2 or Z or C. And you're sitting here trying to fight stuff, and you're pressing all your hotkeys, and then someone tries to say hello to you, and you're like, hey, and it comes up like this. I just don't like that. So I do press enter before I talk. That way I could sit here, press 1, press 2, press T for teleport, and then if I want to say something, it's a little bit cleaner. That's all. This one I take off, right? This one's annoying. More so for kind of dexers, but if it's on, if I just hit tab once, it just kind of toggles it. I have to hold tab to be in war mode. So I take that off. Now I hit tab once, permanently in war mode. Just kind of a simpler thing. Query before attack. This is good if you're on a blue character, right? This is like, if you go to attack something, it'll come up with an icon like, are you sure you want to do this? I like having that on blues because I don't want to go gray. If you're on a red, however, I don't actually know if by default, because you're a red, it won't pop up, but if I'm on my red characters, I take that off because I want to be able to kill immediately and not have this weird check. This one, really important, I think. Show buff duration. So for you guys that don't know, to show your buffs, right, you have your health bar. If you double click it, it has a lot more info. In this buff section right here, you click that little icon, and you have this buff bar, which you do this, and it changes kind of the direction. So if you want your buffs to kind of go down right here, I usually like just kind of have it hover right here. But show buff duration. So this is my campfire visit, right? So you hover over it, and it ticks for every second. But if you do show buff duration, it'll show you, right? And after an hour, it just says 1 hour plus. But if I eat food, so now you know exactly how much time you have left before you're almost out of your food buff or your strength pot or your bless, or any buff will have a timer on it. So I like that one. This one's pretty cool too. Can be attacked. This is something that I like to do. So if you're in a dungeon and there's a bunch of people and their summons and their pets and they're all fighting something, they're all fighting like a daemon or something, right? And let's say we're all grouped and the daemon's right in the middle of us, and we go like this. So right now the murderer color, he's like that. But anyways, what I'm trying to get to is you could change this color to whatever you want, right? You change the color, and when you highlight any creatures that can be attacked, they'll be whatever color you set this to. So you want to set it, probably not red, right? You don't want to confuse it with murderers. Probably not green. You don't want to confuse it with friends. But orange or pink or blue, like a dark blue, I don't know, whatever you want, man. They just stand out a little more. And then if you hold Control Shift, let's run down here really quick. Sometimes it doesn't work, like if they're not aggroed to you. There's no elementals. But if they like aggro to you or your pets or something like that, if you hold Control Shift, you'll see their name is whatever you set this color to. So it's easy to pick that out really quick. Also, Control Shift, you could change it. Do I want to see everything? So obviously you have rune books and all this stuff. You change it to mobiles only, just people. You can have it items only, mobiles and corpses only, whatever you want. So that's pretty nifty. What else do I got for you guys? The counters, right? So you see on the left side of my screen, I have all these counters right here, all these cells essentially. So I have one column and I have 19 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, right, all the way down to 19. So this is helpful because if you want to add something, whatever you want, what do we got in here? Gold, okay? You could do gold, right? So I have 5 gold on me. Jeez, I should have done 6. You could drag that into here, and now it shows you. Alright, let's take a little bit more. So you have 105 gold on you, right? Or you can right-click it. You don't want the gold there. But it's kind of nice to be able to keep track of like your regs, your potions. That's what I do. Trap bags, food. If somebody's like, hey, you got kindling on you, rather than having to search through my pack, I just look over here. Oh yeah, I got a kindling. For mages, my magic mushrooms, I always have that on, so I know when I'm getting low. Because, if this is buried in here, I don't have to look for it and see if I have any. It's nice to just look over here and see what you got. So you could set that up whatever, like Band-Aids for Dexers, like crafters. And you can set this up however you want. I just like having it on the left side right here. Before I used to have it kind of like here, like kind of rows and columns right here. It's nice to have one like crafters or gatherers, right? If you're out lumberjacking, it's nice to have like how many regular logs do I have, how many dull wood, how many bronze wood, how many hatchets do I have. It's just kind of a nifty way to keep track of what you got. So that's counters. You can do highlight on use, just a couple extra little features. I don't ever mess with it. You can change the size of the cells if you want them bigger or smaller. The info bar, I found this one to be a lot more helpful on Dexers. So if you say show info bar and you hit OK, so it comes up with this huge bar that you can move around, right? Your name, all this stuff, and that correlates with what's right here. So what if you're like, as a mage, I don't really care too much about my stamina. Let's go ahead and delete stamina. Stamina's gone. You can add stuff, right? So you can type whatever you want, but then you go here and you could pick all the stuff, like what's my armor, what's my... some people do criminal timer, and you could write crim. You could change it to red. Hit apply. So now you can see your criminal timer. So if you go and attack somebody, this will start counting down to let you know when you're not going to be gray anymore. Or PvP cooldown timer, a bunch of stuff, right? So I usually did something like this, and you could put it like right over your head. That way your eyes are always on it. Again, that little bar will show up if your HP is low, like I showed you earlier. But it's right above your head, right? And you can move it if it's a little too close. If you right-click it, it won't ever go away. You could have it right below your character. You could have it down here, whatever you want. Sometimes I would even take the weight off, and it's like, dude, all I need to know is if my HP goes down, right? Then I could start a bandage timer. Speaking of bandage timer, you could have your bandage timer. I know it says hits, but you type that, bandage, band-aids. As soon as you start a bandage timer, it'll start counting. So there's that. That's pretty helpful. And then what do we got? So interface, there's just a couple little things here. I don't really mess with any of this stuff here. But you could change like the size of your items in here. If you want if you want them to be bigger, I don't know, maybe your eyesight's bad. Or if you want to be able to like be a little more organized, you can kind of scale stuff down so items are smaller here. You can kind of organize your bags a little bit better. I'm not really organized. I just keep a bunch of crap in here. And then, so, you do scale items. This one I don't ever mess with because I like the nostalgia of the old looking stuff. But if you do new regs, so if you look at my regs, you gotta reload the bag. So see, everything's just like new. I think it looks silly, so I don't ever do that. Same thing with the gems. The gems look kind of weird too, so I just keep it all the same because I'm used to seeing that. And then the only other, this one's kind of neat. Override container Gump location. So this is one where you can, like if you're looking for a vendor or you're looking through a chest, you can have the chest pop up in a certain spot. So if I click top right, override container Gump location, so it's going to open in the top right. The other thing is, like, let's say you do this on one character, you get all this stuff set up, and you get on another character, or you make a new character, and all this stuff is back to default, meaning you log in and your music's playing. Your window's super tiny, right? So if you want to change the size of your window, my map's kind of in the way. You click this little thing, you change the size of your window. You can click on Profile Manager from one of your accounts. So you pick your account, the server, your name. You want to add all this stuff, and you want to switch it over to another character. I've never done it like that, but I would assume that it would kind of copy and paste, essentially, all this stuff over to a new character. If you guys want these little skill things here, so like people that have tracking or like taste ID, you could either make a hotkey for it, or you can go to any skill, like animal lore, right? I'm a tamer, I want to lore a bunch of stuff. You click and drag and drop. Now you have animal lore here. Double click, you get animal lore something. Right click, gets rid of it. And they kind of, piece together. Everything kind of pieces together. It just kind of clicks in there. If you hold Alt, you can remove one of them. That's that, guys. Hopefully that helps a little bit. Awesome. Take care.